Today we're going to go over how canola oil is made, and you get to decide for yourself whether you think this is healthy for you, because I have been talking about this for many years now, about how seed oils and vegetable oils and canola oil, how these things are actually really inflammatory in your body. They cause a lot of health issues and they cause a lot of fertility and egg quality issues as well. So we're going to watch it together. We'll talk about it as we go, and we'll compare it to how other oils are made. Specifically, we'll do coconut oil today.
Canola oil is a commonly used type of cooking oil. It's derived from the seed of the canola plant, which North American farmers have been growing for about 30 years.
First off, 30 years it's an absolute nothing burger in terms of human history. And not to mention, in the last 30 years, chronic disease like cancer, heart disease, diabetes, these things have skyrocketed in the last 30, 40 years. Diabetes has a 100% increase in the last 30 years. So this is something that has been introduced into our diets, and at the same time, chronic disease has gone up. Diabetes, 100% increase rate. Cancer, 30%. Major drivers of disease and death are increasing as this has been introduced into our diets.
The plant blooms in the summer, producing bright yellow flowers. Farmers harvest the seeds from pods, which form after those flowers die off. Canola oil is one of the healthiest cooking oils. Compared to
lies, so many lies. It is not the healthiest cooking oil. It has always been marketed as heart healthy and super healthy for us, but it is categorically untrue. And it has derived from old data, old studies that were really looking at the direct relationship between cholesterol and heart disease or stroke risk. And there is no direct outcome there. There's no direct association. You can't look at someone's cholesterol levels and say you have X% of heart disease or stroke risk. There are way better tests that can be run, much more sensitive. You can look at a coronary calcium scan, a CRP, ferritin, lipid particle size. There are so many other tests that you can do to look at heart disease and stroke risk, and cholesterol is not a direct indicator at all. But this became one of the healthiest oils and heart healthy for you because they were looking at its effect on LDL and cholesterol and using that as direct relationship to whether or not you had heart attack risk or stroke risk. That turns out not to be true. I can do a whole other video on that. I don't want to beat you over the head with that one point.
Olive, sunflower, and soybean oils, it has the lowest level of saturated fat, 7%.
Okay, saturated fat doesn't matter. Saturated fat, again, I'll do a whole other video on this. But saturated fat has been demonized again because they were looking at its effect on cholesterol and assuming that cholesterol has a direct effect on your heart disease and stroke risk, and it absolutely does not. So saturated fat is healthy for you. You can eat it.
It also contains more healthy omega-3 fatty acids and is high in monounsaturated fat, which lowers cholesterol.
Okay, I would like to report a homicide. Oh my God, that steak has been murdered twice now. That's not how you cook a steak. That's horrifying. Also, these seed oils, canola oil is actually really high in omega-6. And what you have to be worried about with that is that it throws off your omega-3 to 6 ratio. You really want a 1-to-1 omega-6 to 3 ratio. That's anti-inflammatory. When we have all of these seed oils like canola oil and cottonseed oil, all these different oils in your diet, it makes up a large percent of the fat in your diet. Your omega-6 goes sky high. Omega-6 in and of itself is not bad for you, but when the ratio becomes imbalanced, it can cause a whole lot of issues.
When the canola seed arrives at the processing factory, it contains foreign material, mostly plant pieces. So the first step is to clean the seed in a vibrating sieve. The seeds, smaller than the openings in the sieve's mesh, fall through to a conveyor below. The foreign material remains on top. A conveyor moves it to a storage bin where it's collected for sale as cattle feed.
That's a screw.
The seeds pass by a magnet. It removes any metal that may have fallen in during the journey from field to factory.
Oh Lord, that's not removing all the debris and nasty stuff that's in there.
Next, the seeds enter a roller mill. They pass between two steel rollers, which crush them into thin flakes.
still not seeing a lot of oil come out.
A
They're doing a
conveyor
lot.
then feeds the flakes into a screw press. It has a large revolving screw-shaped shaft enclosed within a slotted cage. As the shaft turns, its threads squeeze the flakes with high pressure, forcing out the oil, which...
Yeah, I mean, they're highly, highly pressurizing this. They're using like hydraulics to pressurize this. This is not an easy process. It's not easy to get the oil out of this type of seed. Compare it to like olives, for example. When you're doing olive oil, you can literally take that yourself and just crush oil out of it and then drink it right away. You don't have to go through you don't have to have a hydraulic press to do it. You can get oil out of an olive very easily. This is kind of insane.
Then drains out through the slots. 42% of canola seed is oil. This screw press extracts nearly 3/4 of that. The remainder is still trapped in the pressed flakes, now referred to as canola cake. The cake exits the other end of the press and moves on to a second extraction.
Oh God. Well, we know what that looks like.
This one, a 70-minute wash with a solvent. This chemical extraction process...
And there it is. We're at the chemical extraction process here, folks. They mix this oil with things like hexane, other chemicals, other solvents. This is not healthy for you by any stretch of the imagination, but they're washing the oil in these solvents and chemicals. And where do you think that's going after? That's in the oil. They're not getting all of that out.
Moves all but a trace of oil. The factory then grinds the cake into protein-rich meal, which it sells as animal feed. The extracted oil, stored in large tanks, now enters the refining phase. First, they wash the oil for 20 minutes with sodium hydroxide. During this wash cycle, they spin the oil at high speed so that the centrifugal force separates the natural impurities, which the factory later sells to soap manufacturers.
That's disgusting.
After this cleaning process, the canola oil is visibly clearer. However, it still contains natural waxes, which make it look cloudy. So the next step is to cool the oil to 5 degrees Celsius. This thickens those waxes so they can be filtered out. The waxes don't go to waste either. The factory uses them to produce vegetable shortening.
No! No, look how disgusting that is. And they're super proud of this too. Like, oh, don't worry, this doesn't go to waste. Not this pure gold. Don't worry about that. We're gonna put this into vegetable shortening and feed it to you in a different way.
In the factory's lab, technicians recreate production on a small scale to ensure performance and quality. Meanwhile, back in the factory, after washing and filtering the oil, they bleach it to lighten the color. Then...
Okay, we've gone through high pressure, heat. We've gone through a wash with a chemical and solvent like hexane. We're in a bleaching process. We cooled it, and now we're in a bleaching process. What I'm seeing, this is not a healthy process. The more I think about it, the more disturbed I am.
Use a steam injection heating process to remove the canola odor.
More steam injection, more heat.
The oil is now fully refined and ready for bottling. The equipment first turns the plastic bottles upside down and injects filtered pressurized air to blow out any dust or dirt inside.
Y'all, oh my God. They're using filtered pressurized air to make sure they get the dust out of that bottle for you. Aren't you so glad? They're gonna put their chemical, solvent, heated, pressurized, bleached oil inside that bottle. But don't worry, they used filtered air to just puff the dust out of that bottle. Oh my God.
Then it turns the bottles right side up again to position for filling. Just before a nozzle starts filling, it applies a vacuum. If there's no suction indicating a leak in the bottle, the machine automatically ejects that bottle from the line. Each bottling machine in the factory fills 22,000 bottles per hour. The labeling machines work at the same speed. They spread glue on the back of each label, then apply the label's edge to the bottle.
So this is all now. This is just, now we're looking at just the factory process of getting the of actually getting the bottles to you so that you can consume that. type of thing. So this is a very unnatural process. Now, when we compare this to something like olive oil, where you literally just press the olives, okay? We're not mixing that with hexane. We're not mixing it with bleach, nothing like that. Butter is another thing, and that got demonized for many years, but you can make butter at home. You don't need a chemistry set. You don't need a lab. You don't need a solvent. You buy heavy cream, you whip it until the butter and the butter milk have separated, and you have butter. Let's compare this to a process like making coconut oil. All right, let's see what they do to make coconut oil. This is significantly less stressful. Wow, cows. That doesn't look like bleach or a chemistry set. This is actually really relaxing. Yeah, so I mean, this is a highly natural process. They're taking coconuts and they're literally using cows to press them. Now, obviously, in a factory setting, they're going to use they're not using cows, but you can, okay? You don't need solvents, you don't need chemicals, you don't need bleach or a chemistry professor to do this. Let's keep watching. And it just keeps going. Yeah. Okay, so this is after an hour. So 1 hour, okay, after 1 hour of doing this, they're actually going to take out what I believe to be oil. It's going to be oil. Oh, that's coconut oil. Let's just watch to make sure they don't bring it to some chemistry person and bleach it. Let's just make sure. Okay. Looks like clear coconut oil to me. In a, what looks to be like a regular run-of-the-mill everyday kitchen strainer. Okay. And they're bottling it. And that's it. I mean, that's highly different, right? That's a very different process to create coconut oil. And again, butter you can make at home, olive oil, same thing. You can press oil out of olives yourself. So that's the difference, right? We're talking about highly toxic chemicals, high pressure, heat, cooling, bleach, chemistry sets, all sorts of different things to make canola oil specifically. And other seed oils are the same. It's not like other seeds are easier, significantly easier to get the oil out of. All of these seed oils need to go through some sort of process that's similar to that, versus a more natural oil that you can just get without having to go through a whole chemical process. Hope you learned something new, and I really hope you're going to start looking at the labels on your foods and start cooking at home with other types of oils. We need to get rid of seed oils and vegetable oils. They are just very toxic for you. Until next time, bye.